Hello and welcome back to coverage here from Grand Prix. Hey, I think we're on TV.
Are we still on here?
Yeah, hi. Hi, Rashad. You want to run that one back there? Hello and welcome to coverage of Grand Prix Providence. This is the finals. This is what we've all been waiting for here. You can see the teams, Matt McCullough, Ari Lax, and Alex John on the right-hand side versus Andy Longo, Eric Phillipps, and another Eric. This one's Berger. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and we have finally reached it. You can see that I believe it's Ari Lax on the right-hand side has his finger poised on that mountain. Do they have the go-ahead? Yeah, it looks like they're just about ready to start down there.
Yeah, so this is the
And
finals of Grand Prix Providence, and we have a match between Ari Lax, Grand Prix veteran, a Grand Prix warrior, who's one of the better Grand Prix players as far as win percentage goes, and he's facing off against 3Ps. Eric Phillipps, a New York area player, great dude.
And we hear, we see Ari Lax pass the turn with very emphatically. All right, there it is. Riot Piker. He declares that it's permanently in the red zone. Now let's see what Eric Phillipps can come up with here. He's got another planes.
I really hope he doesn't have ground control.
And there's the blind obedience on turn 2.
And that's what I talked about. I mean,
you did, and look at that. There's a Viashino first blade in hand for Ari Lax. We can't figure that he's got a way to deal with that. He's going to have to start running those out there for no value.
Yeah. And that blind obedience doing a lot of work for Eric already.
And wow, a Hazda Snare Squad is going to potentially eat that right piker, and this is just a dream start for Eric Phillipps. There's a rubber belt Maka that he's going to use to keep that right piker alive and take down a really nice card with the 1-4 there.
Yep.
And unfortunately for Ari, he's just left with no other choice here but just to pass the turn back. Here's the 4th land drop for Eric. We see that he's got a toil and trouble in his hand, so if he can keep his life total high enough, he can toil and really get ahead on cards on Ari Lax at some point. But for now, it's going to be a Vassal Soul with an Extort thanks to blind obedience, and he's going to pass the turn back. Now that's not going to jump in front of the right piker anytime soon, but he could trade it off for the first plate if he wanted.
I think he'd be happy to do that, yeah.
Yeah. Take 2 from the right piker. And here is a volatile rig. It's going to come into play tapped again thanks to that blind obedience. And there is no land drop here for Eric Phillipps. So what is he going to do? Is he going to play toil, pay an extort for it?
Oh, that's a very dangerous thing to do with a volatile rig.
It certainly
he does
wants
have
to
Avenging
protect his
Arrow
life
in
total.
hand. So I mean, we may see. Yeah, I think he's just going to go for the Avenging Arrow and see if he can clear the board. Yep, so he's
here we go, 6 damage. That's going to drop Eric Phillipps down to 9. So Ari Lax applying a lot of pressure. This is an interesting decision because Ari says, well, look, does he have Avenging Arrow? Does he have an Executioner swing? Do I really want to commit more to the board in case I lose this? Yeah, I just heard Ari say, do I want to play a creature here?
I don't figure that out. Like if I lose the flip on this guy, that's like the only way I feel like I can lose. Yeah. Okay. Go. Attack with everybody.
Right, so Eric Phillipps has to go for the Avenging Arrow here because he's at 9.
I mean, he certainly can't take another hit, right?
Oh, definitely not. So, I mean, once Ari passes, those hand motions are confusing to me. I haven't really heard yet, but.
All right, here's end step.
He's going to jump 3Ps up to 10, and then
all right, so if he loses this coin flip, he's going to lose his right piker, and Eric Phillipps will drop back down to 6 life here. And he did lose it, so there goes the right piker, and Eric Phillipps is at a pretty precarious life total, but he has drawn another land here. He's got a 5-drop.
Oh, it's a 4-drop.
It's actually a 4-drop. Assault Griffin with Extort back up to 7. Ari Lax sees this slowly slipping away from him. And here's Night Watch for 5 mana, so 2 tapped Vigilance Knights, but that's a perfectly fine draw here, especially only facing down a 2 toughness Assault Griffin. Where's all the Wojak Halberdiers here?
Yeah. Let's be real.
Nowhere to be found, apparently.
Okay.
Okay, it's Eric Phillipps' turn. We have an early game win here for Andy Longo. It looks like he just ran over Matt McCullough there on the top table, so already a game win for the New York team here.
Andy Longo is an interesting, aggressive Bant deck with a not so great mana base, but when he draws his mana, he is extremely well positioned. So.
Okay. So it looks like he's going to start things off with an attack and then just pass a turn back. I believe he has an Eyes in the Skies here. And both of these knights are going to attack for Arilax. And here's yet another Extort and an Eyes in the Skies for Eric Phillipps. So you think he's just going to throw a couple of these in front of a knight?
I think that's probably his play here.
He's going to go back up to 8 and then back down to 6.
He's going to double block.
All right, so is there a trick in hand?
It looks like it's a Swift Justice, but Ari only has 1 white, so if Ari does go ahead and Swift Justice, then he won't be able to cast his Veteran post-combat.
Yeah, he would like to get that down on the battlefield, especially now that those 2 birds are gone. So there's the Veteran. It's not going to have, there's really no way to give it Battalion here thanks to that blind obedience on Eric's side of the table. Not for the next turn, at least. Normally, Ari's deck could come out and hit you with a Viashino First Blade, all of a sudden trigger that Battalion out of nowhere, and things can get ugly. All right, but we do see Eric Phillipps is cracking away here in the air, and he plays 2 creatures this turn, Rakdos Drake, no Unleash, and a Tavern Swindler. There's a Wojak Halberdiers. A little late to the party, guys. All right, attack with both of them, and they're both going to jump in front, and there's the Swift Justice. Now that's going to change the race math significantly. These 2 trade 4 life gain swing for Arilax, who still can't manage to find a second white source to start dumping the cards in his hand. Remember, if Ari had an extra mana here, he could play the Wojak Halberdiers, untap, and anything that was stabilized from Eric, he could use Liev Decree to finish off. All right, Arilax drops down to 7. And this is a big one for Eric. What do you have? He still has that Toil in his hand. He's got to be careful, though.
Yeah, I think he's going to want to just cast the Rakdos Drake and Extort here with no Unleash.
It would trade with the... Yep, there it is. So he goes back up to 7. Arilax goes down to 6, which means a 2-turn clock in the air. And I think that Ari has a Warmind Infantry, so as long as he doesn't lose the next turn, he can cast a Wojak Halberdiers and a Warmind Infantry, go for the Liev Decree next turn, and finish off Eric Phillipps.
Yeah, not an unreasonable plan at all.
No. These are both tapped. Let's make sure it doesn't really matter because there's no flyers, but those are actually tapped. All right, so there's 3 damage. And he's going to Toil you with Extort.
Yep. That's good enough.
And that's 3 because he's going to lose the 2 life plus the Extort. Now, he didn't need to use the Trouble there. He couldn't even cast it, but the Toil was enough to finish him off. So the 2-turn clock was actually just 1 turn on that play. So Eric Phillipps finds a win, and he is also up a game now. That he's going to join Andy Longo being up a game. And let's take a look at what I'm assuming is Eric Berger versus Alex John. Okay?
Yeah, I think this is definitely more.
So that was actually a very, very close game.
Yes.
With 1 more life, 1 fewer Extort triggers. I think Ari was about to take that one down. And now we've got multiple Grim Roustabouts, also a Krakenura. Those all have a counter on them, along with a Scab Clan Charger.
When a Spawn of Rixmati comes down, and that's a pretty big dude here.
Now, is there going to be an Unleash? It seems unlikely, as Alex John looks like he's sitting at 5 life here and doesn't have much of an offensive, though I will say that Haunter of Nightvale does a pretty nice job holding off the threats that Eric is presenting. It looks like he's top decking also. Did you see what he drew? Oh, there's a Rogue's Passage on the battlefield too, though, for Eric.
It looks like he drew a Scab Clan Charger, which he could use to make that Krakenura a little bit bigger. Because remember, the Krakenura, even though it has a counter on it, it's 1/2. Oh, no, never mind. The Haunter of Nightvale does not, will also shrink the Scab Clan Charger's power, so does not interact the way you'd want it to.
Not favorably, but here we go. Everybody's attacking. So 1, 2, 3, 4 damage potentially here. All right, we're going to go to blocks. No use of the Rogue's Passage. Haunter of Nightvale, and there's a few regenerations that can happen here on Eric's side, and you can use this to get into damage. I don't think he can get lethal here, though.
No, but he can get Alex down to 1, and then he has Rogue's Passage in play. So
Okay.
that seems pretty good. Definitely what he wants to be doing.
Now the Croconera dies in this exchange. One of the Grim Roustabouts could potentially die as well, but it doesn't. He's going to regenerate the Grim Roustabout, and here comes the Scab Clan Charger. Oh, he's actually going to use it on the Croconera that was blocked.
Yeah, I mean that seems very reasonable to me.
Okay. So that's actually going to get him down to just 4, though, right?
Yep. So he's going down to 4 here. Ooh, and a Denrova Harbor.
Denrova Horror can go a very long way to help stabilizing a board. He's at a precarious life total, but again, that Rogue's Passage is just looming over there for Alex John. He has to look at that and just say, how do I beat that if this game keeps going long? Remember, Eric's at 17, and Alex just isn't in a position to be able to attack. All right, he's going to Denrova Horror. The Rogue's Passage, make him discard it. Remember, it's any permanent, so he takes care of the Rogue's Passage, and he's helped stabilize his board with a 4/4, and all of a sudden things are looking much, much better for Alex John.
Yeah. Much different board state this turn.
And Eric is forced to just pass the turn back. He's got 2 creatures that can't block at all, and all of his guys are shrunk down thanks to the Haunter of Night Vale. Tons of mana in hand for Alex John, and I know that he has an Inspiration in hand as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't look like he's casting it here, though. He's going to
So
go
it's
for
just
a Maze Glider. Yeah.
Pretty nice one.
That's going to give his Denrova Horror flying. It's also going to give his Haunter of Night Vale flying. And I think he's going to start an offensive here.
Yeah, and I mean he has a cancel in his hand too, so.
Oh, he has a cancel as well.
Yeah, so he's
wow,
looking really
so he's
good
actually
here.
in the driver's seat here.
Yeah, he's very much in the driver's seat. That Denrova Horror was already in his hand, so planned.
All right, there's a Pack Rat, though, but it is going to get instantly canceled here. Wow, so a Pack Rat for Eric Berger, too.
That's a pretty nice one.
Yeah. He even had an extra card in his hand there. But it is not relevant since it's in the graveyard.
Yeah, I mean this is an interesting development here.
Same sleeve. Judge?
Now we know that Eric Berger has Pack Rat in his deck, and they have to play best 2 of 3 against their team. That's a whole bunch of free wins that can happen.
Yeah.
Really, really powerful card.
Man, Denrova Horror taking out that Rogue's Passage, such a game-swinging play.
Oh yeah.
You know that Eric had to have planned the majority of this game for having that Rogue's Passage. It's such a hard permanent to deal with in this set. Nobody plays Destroy the Evidence, you know.
Yeah.
It's a card you don't see. All right, here's 4 mana for an Inspiration. Target himself. I see a mountain and a card I couldn't quite see.
Yeah, so Horror gonna come in again.
Now remember that Croconera can block it. Unfortunately, it would just be a chump block at this point, but if he can get another Evolve trigger on it, then it will have 5 toughness. Shouldn't be that hard to get that Evolve trigger on there either, thanks to the Haunter of Night Vale. Just any creature, really.
Ooh,
there's a give and take.
That could have been very, very, very good had he drawn it when he still had the Rogue's Passage in play.
Yeah, unfortunately for him, he also doesn't seem to have any blue mana here, so it's just a give.
Yeah, he doesn't have blue mana in his deck.
None at all. Okay, so this is just a give. Does he have anything reasonable? He could put it on the Croconera to stem the bleeding from the Denrova Horror.
Yeah, and I think that's what he's going to go ahead and do.
Okay, let's give this Croconera 3 more counters. So the Croconera should be holding off the majority of the board state here, but Eric Berger has fallen to 9 in the meantime, and there's a lot of plays open to Alex John. Remember, he just played an Inspiration as well. He's got a 5-5 now, or a potential 5-5 with the Crawl Warrior. And remember, those Grim
And with
Roustabouts
that,
cannot block.
Yeah.
With only one card in hand, Alex, you think he's considering maybe swinging in for some type of alpha strike here?
There's no reason for him to. I mean, he has the game locked up so hard that
Okay.
I think he probably
There's
can just
an Is
wait.
It charm.
Yeah, he can summon the Denrovahar, and then if he gets a block on with the Krakenura, then he can just finish off the Krakenura with the.
Oh.
Yeah, he can make it into a 5-5, and then it'll survive the Krakenura block, and then he can just finish off the Krakenura with Is It Charm.
Okay. Another
So-
thing we'll notice here at the top, Andy Longo. He takes the first game versus Matt McCullough 2-0 very quickly,
Yeah.
and he puts the Longo Phillipps Berger camp in a good position here, as either one of his teammates can pick up a win here, and they'll win the first round, putting them in a great position here. All right, so here it is.
Ironically, Berger and 3Ps were telling Andy that his deck was bad four-handed, and he's like, well, I'm just going to win anyway. I've been carrying you guys all weekend.
Yeah, it looks like that's exactly what he's got here. Okay, pass the turn back. Alex John firmly in the driver's seat, looking to steal a game back for his team here. Ari Lax fell to Eric Phillipps in what was ultimately a very close game one.
Yeah, Eric had some trouble with his mana in game one, but was able to restabilize, and thanks to a turn 2 blind obedience, he saved himself a lot of damage there.
Yep. All right, looks like the game's over here. I see people scooping up permanents here as Eric has fallen here. Alex John up a game. Let's take a look maybe over at the Ari Lax match in Table B and see if we can get caught up with that. If Ari's way behind in that game, it could mean quick start, and he is. That's a Blood Baron of Viscopa. Ari's at 4. Eric Berger's sitting at 9, and he's. Oh, the lives might not be updated. Okay, that's. We're going to give it a chance here. Rashad says he thinks the life totals are not correct, but still facing down a Blood Baron of Viscopa is no fun. Okay, so what happened there was the Guardian of the Gateless jumped in front of all 3 creatures, and the now first striking Wojak Halberdiers was a recipient of a Rebel Belt Maka Blood Rush, so it took it down with first strike. And
Are these light
killed
totals
all its
correct?
guys. No,
Oh,
they're
no.
not correct. They are updating them now, but that Blood Baron is just a monster to deal with if you're an aggressive deck.
It looks like there's a Holy Mantle on Phillipps' hand too, so he can just suit up this Blood Baron, and that's going to be pretty tough. Oh yeah, it has protection from white. Never mind.
It does. It has pro white.
It's very late.
and Eric Phillipps says, I mean, I would never do that. I'm just showing you that that's not the play that I will make here. All right, he's going to attack with his 4/4 lifelinking, and he also says, without his Holy Mantle,
Okay, if they
I
didn't catch that
guess.
right there, I would have caught it, and like a turn later, it would have just fallen off.
All right, that looks like Eric is at 24 here. And there's this Zarichi Tiger. So,
That's pretty good here.
yeah. Oh, Arilax has a nice port state going, but man, that Blood Baron is going to be so tough to deal with. How does Ari even touch that thing?
You can't.
Protection from white? He's going to need to find a burn spell to kill it, or he's going to need to throw. Yeah. Yeah, it's the life totals are swinging all over the place because once the Blood Baron of Viscopa hits that +6/+6 stage, it gets flying as well. That's if he can get to 30.
Really? Did this just happen?
All right, so the Blood Baron of Viscopa attacked, and Ari double blocked, and it worked.
I
don't know
cannot
if-
believe that.
I don't think that Eric knew that it was going to die there. We heard Ari say, really? That just happened? And it did. Wow. So a potentially large misstep here for Eric Phillipps as he loses his Blood Baron. Let's see if Ari can make this into a game. He says knights. He plays 2 vigilance knights, and he's got a really nice board state here.
Arrow.
All right, Avenginero takes out Vassal Soul. And I got to say, Eric Phillipps still in a decent position here. He's facing down quite the army, but he's got a protection from creatures.
Guy that gains
4/5
life.
that can gain life every turn.
And Ari has no way to interact with the card.
Yeah, he's a creature-based deck pretty purely.
Yeah. The Tiger is actually just, I'm pretty sure this Tiger with a Holy Mantle is unbeatable for Ari.
Okay. I mean, clearly Ari can overwhelm it if he draws spell, but he can't do anything as the board sits. And Eric says, yeah, I'll gain 2, go back up to 20. Who need? Oh, and he just drew Obsidat's Aid.
Oh, it's so good.
Right on time. So, you know, sometimes you throw your Blood Baron of Viscopa into a couple of random 2/2s and it dies, and then sometimes you just buy it right back. Oh, Ari Lax lets out an audible grunt. He just goes, as that's got to be bad news, and that's probably going to spell victory. And Ari says, we're done here. And round 1 goes to the New York guys. Andy Longo, Eric Phillipps, and Eric Berger have now won.
Wait,
the
Eric
first
Berger
of
won
3.
that game against Alex John?
Not moving.
No.
Oh,
But
okay.
Eric did. Eric and Andy.
Yeah,
won.
well, I guess it was just misput because on
Oh,
the
down on the bottom there?
Yeah.
No, that's wrong. Yeah, Alex John won that game. So,
I was a bit confused.
but it is not relevant as it turns out,
Yes.
since Eric and Andy both 2-0'd, and now we're going to see some table shifting here, as the players are going to get up and move down a row. Rashad wants to know who called table here and doesn't have to switch.
I think the
One
team
of-
that
one of
wins
Rash-
doesn't have to
the
switch,
things
right?
that Rashad is best at in this entire world is calling table at a draft, so he's always keeping an eye on who his potential competition
He's so
might
good
be.
at it that he does it before you're even allowed to do it most of the time.
Unbelievable.
All right. Or maybe it's just, respecting elders kind of thing.
Could
That's
be.
one thing about, playing after midnight as we are here.
Well after midnight.
Yeah, I mean, we're almost to 1 a.m. Longo, Phillipps, and Berger, these are, they're not old, but these guys are all into their 30s.
Look, that's not that old, Jake. Me and Rashad start glaring at you.
Well,
All
I'm
let's
not
take a
saying,
look at our.
yeah.
You be quiet, young man. Let's take a look at our upcoming webcasts. We've got GP Las Vegas, one of the most anticipated events of the whole year. Modern Masters sealed. Modern Masters Draft Day 2. It is going to be an absolutely awesome event. I'm going to be doing commentary there. I'm going to be there for a long time, June 22nd and 23rd. Please do try to make it. I've seen some of the early pre-registration numbers, and it's already at like 1,700. Like, it is going to be totally crazy.
Yeah,
And
I mean,
I'm
it's
so-
Modern Masters. Everybody wants to get.
Yeah, Modern Masters, man.
Piece of
Grand
it.
Prix Kansas City is after that, July 6th and 7th.
Are you doing commentary there also?
Yeah, I am.
Oh, I'm actually thinking about going there to play.
Hey.
So I'll be there battling.
Hey, maybe we'll get you on the camera.
Hopefully, I have 3 buys. That's the reason I'm going to go play Grand Prix.
Wow, look at
I haven't
you.
done that in
Mr.
forever.
Qualified for the Pro Tour has 3 buys, so make sure you come join us for
I'm
that.
a Magic player again.
Yes, you are.
like accidentally.
So make sure you join us on the webcast for those GP Kansas City and GP Las Vegas later this month and early next month. All right, so we're back to all zeros on the top of our screen there, but you see a very important one. For those of you just joining us, we're in the finals here from Providence. This is Team Limited. I'm Marshall Sutcliffe. I'm in the booth with Jacob Van Lunen, and the team you see on the left, Andy Longo, Eric Phillipps, Eric Berger, they are up around. This is best 2 out of 3. If they can get 2 of their guys to win this next match, they are going to be the champions of Grand Prix Providence.
So before, when I was talking about Eric Berger's deck, that seemed like it was. You saw the Golgari deck. That seemed like it was very well set up against Matt's Burrows deck, but not well set up against Ari's Burrows deck.
That's right, you
now
mentioned
he's playing against Ari.
Okay, and
So
we
that-
saw how bad it was for Ari to play against Eric. It was brutal.
Well, that's against Eric, and Eric's deck was Eric's deck was really well
I
mean,
mean,
positioned. against the
that
Burrows
had to be
decks.
the worst matchup for Ari at the table, right?
Yes. I mean, if Andy draws his mana, Andy's deck is not bad against Burrow's decks either. And that's the thing, is a lot of this comes down to matchups. And, you know, 3-Piece and Longo both made decks that are pretty good against Burrow's decks, and the other team has 2 Burrow's decks.
Now, you said, so you think that Ari's going to have a favorable matchup here against Eric Berger, though?
Yes, I think Ari will have a very favorable matchup against Eric Berger. I think 3-Piece has a favorable matchup against Matt McCullough. And I think Alex and Andy are both in a situation where they both have fairly inconsistent decks, and I'm going to say that matchup is extremely draw dependent.
Okay. All right, looks like one of our games is already underway as the players have been told go ahead, and we're just going to bring that to you right now.
This is Andy Longo and Alex John here.
Right, so 2 4-drops to kick things off for both players, a lot of gates and such, and dual lands on the side of Alex John. So it's a Rune Wing, though, to kick it off, and a Bronze Beak Moa, and it looks like Alex is going to waste no time in taking that out. He doesn't want to take 5 or even get anywhere near that, so Is It Charm dispatches of the Moa, and there's also a nice follow-up play, too. That's a heck of a turn 5 there. Remove your guy, play my own. Simic Flux Mage, that's nice.
Yeah, and Andy Longo here, no blue mana.
No blue mana. You said his mana was sketchy. You said, you know, this is a possibility here, but he does have at least a play, and it's a decent one. It's a 3/3 Centaur token off of a Call of the Conclave. All right, here's turn 6 for Alex John. He's hit every land drop available to him. He's going to attack with his Rune Wing, and what does he have as a follow-up play?
Looks like it might be an Ooze.
A Goblin Ooze. That's going to trigger the Simic Flux Mage, and it's going to get a counter on it. He can start throwing those around as he wants. He also made sure to leave up a green mana so that the Goblin Ooze can eat something if it's going to die anyway. He can cash in that Rune Wing for a card if he gets desperate. Right now, though, he's not in that position, as he is going to be attacking with that Rune Wing for the foreseeable future. All right, here comes the Centaur. And it's going to see a Burst of Strength hit it here. And he's just going to... Okay. He's going to sacrifice the Rune Wing, and that's going to make a trade, and he gets to draw a card as well. So a 2 for 2 there?
Yeah,
well, not really, though, because
Alex got to draw a card.
Get to draw a card out of the deal.
But, I mean, if Andy doesn't make that play, then Andy has to discard for his end step, so...
I see.
Andy's just thinking, okay, well, I can just clear the board, and that'll give me more time to draw out of this and draw my blue mana. Because in hand, he has things like, he has, like, Jellin Sphinx and whatnot.
Yeah, wow, and here's a Hunter of Night Vale, and now all of a sudden, this... Simic Flux Mage is a 3/4, and it's a pretty good beater. All right, here we go. Another land, 4 mana. He needed double green. Is this a Krasna Monitor? Yeah, there it is. It's one of the only things that he could really have there that needed double green. He instantly throws it down. So that's a nice play for him here. It's unfortunately not going to be in a position to block either of the creatures that it's facing down. So
yeah,
it's
here
sort
it's
of
just a 2/3
it's a step
a pair
1.
of 3/4s. Yeah.
Yeah, it's stage 1. But he's going to need another creature before it can block it. I think he's just going to end up taking 6 here. Yeah, he has to just take 6. He's got, looks like a Deputy of Acquittal stranded in his hand, and this is a Ceruli Gatekeeper's. Wow, he's just going to attack here. And then he's going to play the Gatekeepers?
Oh, what are electronics?
No. Yeah.
How much damage
Yep,
do you
that's
take
what it looks like.
But he didn't want to leave up a double block there.
I mean, his opponent has tons of cards in hand and a million different colors of mana. Like, double blocking is kind of just
it's not
getting
realistic
blown
at this
out.
point.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, racing doesn't seem like a great option here, though,
Yeah,
either. So,
I don't know if
mean,
there's
don't you
really
just
much
take
you
the
can
risk on
do.
and double block?
I guess you have to.
Yeah.
Maybe just hope your opponent just has a handful.
Actually,
of
no,
lands.
it's not even a double block. What am I thinking? It's a 1/4.
Yeah. So
doesn't even do the job.
against.
So Andy
2
Longo
3/4s.
says, well, I'm just going to swing in there since it's not doing anything anyway. He's going to drop down to 1 here, potentially, but he does get the block, actually, so he's going to drop down to 4.
Like a rare party on your side of the table?
Relax just said, is this like a rare party on your side of the table? That is not Beck and Call in his hand, is it?
I believe it is.
Is he gonna fuse a Beck and Call this
I
game?
believe he is.
I mean, he had the mana to do it though right now. So maybe
does
that's
he?
not a Beck and Call. Is 8 mana, right? He's got a white. Or is that Simic Guildgate again that we keep thinking is a Selesnya Guildgate?
It is a Simic Guildgate again. They
Stupid
look
Simic
so
Guildgate.
similar.
Every time I think that one's a Selesnya Guildgate, so he doesn't have the white mana to do it. And it doesn't do much without it. He needs a Prophetic Prism or any white mana source to be able to fuse a Beck and Call. It's certainly a great late game play, but he's in the driver's seat here anyway. Inspiration myself. Let's see if he can find it. Well, he found a mountain. And there's a white mana source. So if if Andy lives long enough, we're going to get a chance to see it. Now, did he just pass the turn back there?
He did. Playing with his food.
Okay.
He wants to draw 4 cards. Maybe 5, because he might draw a 2-drop off of the off of the Beck and Call fused,
Why
and then
not? All right, so he's going to take this turn to take one of the Simic Flux Mage counters and transfer it over to the Hunter of Night Vale. So it can actually get past the Cerulean Gatekeepers here.
it's a good plan.
Yeah. We're going to go to combat first. Hunter of Night Vale is a 4/5, and it's just going to jump in front of that. The Cross Monitor is just going to jump in front of it as a chump block, as it is lethal. And here we go. Is he going to load up for the big, oh man, the two-handed mana tap here? Oh, here he goes. You think we're going to see a scoop almost immediately after this fused Beck and Call? I will Beck and Call.
Yeah, that's
And that's it. He says, I'm not even going to...
and he's gonna say,
We're not
that
even gonna
one's good
continue
enough.
this. Yeah, that whole 8 mana shenanigans is good enough, it seems.
Oh, let's jump over, take a look at the Ari Lax Eric Berger matchup. That's a matchup that I still have to update life totals for you guys, so this isn't exactly accurate just yet.
This is a very cluttered board state here. This is Arilax. Is that right?
That is correct, yes.
Okay. Arilax facing down a Pack Rat, but only 3 lands, and Ari looks like he's way ahead on board here as Pack Rat's jumping in front of, well, a Skinbrand Goblin just to keep himself alive, I'm assuming.
Yeah, Eric's stuck on lands here.
Yeah, he's just, and this is the type of, this is one of the reasons why I love these 2-color decks, like what Arilax is running, that are just consistent and quick.
Well, Eric's also a 2-color deck.
I
He's just
understand,
green black.
but,
Yeah.
but Ari's is very aggressive. I'm not saying anything about Eric's deck. I'm just saying that I love these type of decks because when they get behind like this, when your opponent gets behind like this, you can just bury them. Now, it looks like we have the life totals updated, though, and Eric is working hard towards stabilizing. Looks like he's pretty close. That Vorel of the, or is that a Varol's there, the Scar Striped?
It is.
Oh man,
It's a pretty good card.
that's a nice one.
It's just rare city up in here.
Yeah, Pack Rat
Yeah.
just got in front of a 2/1 Goblin and died.
Skinbrand Goblin. I mean, it had to.
He had to trade it off. He didn't have the time.
So these life totals look a little more accurate now.
Yeah, so this looks more accurate. I guess it's 20-5. Is that what the life total is for shot? It's hard to figure out what's going on the board state if the life totals are not correct. All right, they're correct right now. So he can get him to 1 here if he wants. But he would lose.
He would lose his
important
4/4.
creatures here, yeah. And there's a trigger there. Any trick, of course, for Arilax would also finish off Eric here, but... Oh, that's a Golgari charm there, I think, for Eric Berger. He can regenerate his team.
Yeah.
Oh, he's just going to use it to take out the enchantment,
Yep.
which is going to shrink down that knight.
Seems
and
pretty
make
good.
It dead. He's going to also lose this, but he is still going to 1 here.
Yeah, I mean, well,
And this
Ari
one-
doesn't have any burn. Ooh, but that is...
Wow, that is a form of burn. And 2 lands in hand for Eric Berger. We see Arilax rubbing his hands together eagerly, but really he just has to wait until the turn gets passed back to him, and that's not even going to happen as Eric is going to concede. So Eric Phillipps up a game, Eric Berger down a game here, and Alex John up a game. So in the out of the first round of games, Ari Lax and company up 2-1.
This game looks a little bit better for Andy Longo here. Thrashing Moss Dog comes down, pumping that Shamble Shark. Getting in with the Centaur and the Shamble Shark here.
6 damage. Wow, this is how the coach drew this one up, that's for sure. Turn 2, turn 3, turn 4, really nasty. Where's all the far and aways in this draft? I think he's got a Killing Glare. Alex does.
Yeah, Alex also has a Mesium Mortars in his hand, which isn't
Which
getting
is
overloaded
embarrassing.
anytime
No.
soon.
Now, if he hits a red source, he can use it to 1-for-1, no problem. But yeah. All right, everybody sends in there for Andy Longo. Let's see what the play is here. I see that there's also a Skyline Predator for Alex for next turn, but for now he's just going to use it to take out the Shamble Shark. Ooh, Dispel, though.
That's not going to work.
Means that he's going to take 9 damage and go to 2, and that's actually just going to be the game here. Wow. So Andy Longo with a quick, aggressive start just runs over
Now
Alex
2 games
John.
to 2 games here in the second round of the finals.
Jeez, we've got a nail biter here.
This is a nail biter. The young guns.
Can we call the other guys the old guard?
The old guard. We can call them the old guard, but they're not really the old guard because they don't really go to events that much. Like the old guard, kind of, it's like they need to be around forever.
Yeah, they've kind of popped their head up and said, "Yeah, we can still play."
Yeah, obviously. The 2 Boros decks are going to games.
You mentioned that these are New York area players. They'll play at John Finkel's place when they do drafts over there, which is apparently pretty frequently.
Is that a 7? I know.
So no black mana here for Eric Phillipps, but still he has a 2-drop in his hand, and the other cards in his hand are very powerful. So I won't be surprised.
Matt McCullough has a very nice 2-drop of his own.
Yeah, Syndic of Tithes is super good.
All right, so is it going to be a 2-drop and an Extort or a 3-drop? What do you got? It's going to be a 3-drop Viashino First Blade, and instantly the Boros Mastiff is going to trade off with that Syndic of Tithes.
Yeah, and Eric Phillipps understands that, he's against these aggressive Burrow stacks. He knows his opponents have tons of, like cheap aggressive creatures, but he has Bloodbrand Viscop in his deck. He has Obsidian's Aid and Stab Wound and all of this unbelievable stuff. So he's down to 12 already, though.
He is already down to 12, but he has kept any type of battalion shenanigans off the table here as still just 1 creature.
It's a little late to the party, that Blind Obedience.
It is, and guess what? No black mana, and in fact, no mana at all here for Eric Phillipps. So even though those Viashino First Blade isn't doing a ton on its own, it is a clock. Oh, no play, though, for Matt McCullough. That's going to sting. There's a black mana off the top for Eric, so this could be a potentially nice swing here for him. Corpse Blockade with Extort, shields up, man. And Homing Lightning's immediately though going to take out the Corpse Blockade, and it's going to keep the damage rolling in here with the Viashino First Blade, and there it is. Now, can Matt bolster his board position? No, he just plays a land and chips the turn back. Another land off the top for Eric, so 2 in a row, both of them black mana sources. This one, unfortunately, a tap for him, but it's Tavern Swindler with an Extort, brings him back up to 10, and Eric is just grinding away here. All right, Matt McCullough, he seems to be out of gas here. He hasn't done anything he didn't do anything last turn. He had a bunch of mana. Here's another one. Looks like he's just flooding out. He doesn't want to trade the Tavern Swindler for his Viashino First Blade, so he just sends the turn back. And that looks like a High Priest of Penance, I think, that Eric just drew.
Another very nice card.
Yeah, nothing wrong with that guy. I mean, except for the fact that he's a 1/1 for 2, but it's not really his job.
I mean, when their deck has
the peskiest of permanents.
Especially when you're playing against decks with Skinbrand Goblin and Daring Skyjacks and whatnot, it's just really exciting.
All right, so Eric's explaining to his teammates what happened. He said, look, he's got 2 cards in hand, but he didn't do anything last turn in this board state where he clearly would. So they're just deciding if they wanted to unleash this Rakdos Drake. Of course, there's going to be an Extort paid for as well here, and they did decide to. I mean, it looks like the pendulum has swung firmly back in Eric's direction. He's ripped a few lands when he needed it, and his opponent has done nothing.
Yep. Looking very good for Eric here.
Yeah, it just looks like Matt's drawn a bunch of lands this game after a blazing start.
And Eric just, you know, he played the game well. He just traded as aggressively as he possibly could.
He did.
And, you know, despite missing a bunch of early land drops and getting run over by a 2-drop into double Vishino first play draw into Homing Lightning, you know, his
he's
opponent
attacking for 4, and all of a sudden the race is back in the other direction as I see that there's going to be a Guardian of the Gateless for Eric Phillipps. No extort paid, but there's an explosive impact that's going to take out the Guardian of the Gateless. And, oh, this is interesting. It's a Beckon Apparition that he's going to use immediately to try to keep the pressure up. It's going to blank Obsidat's aid to try to bring that thing back. So that's kind of nice. All right, and he's going to attack in there for 3. So Eric Phillipps drops down to 8. Let's see what he has. He just drew another land here, and that Blind Obedience doing... You know, Eric Phillipps gets lined up against both Boros decks in the first 2 rounds here.
Yeah.
Pretty fortunate to have that Blind Obedience. There's some matchups where Blind Obedience doesn't really do a whole lot. You know, it just acts as like an extort and maybe allows you to get in some extra damage. But against some decks, it's really nasty, and this happens to be one of them. Though in this game, it did come down a little late.
for games, as games go longer, Alex John is definitely going to have a bigger advantage. Andy Longo wants to kill him fast. As games go longer, Eric Berger is going to have an advantage against Ari Lax. So it's interesting as we watch this match and these other matches are continuing to play out. It's making me think that Game 2 is going in Eric Berger's favor and Game 3 is going in Alex John's favor.
Okay. All right, so there's 6 mana now, and what are we playing?
Priest of
High
Penance.
Priest of Penance, yep,
With
and
extort.
he's going to get an extort. Now, I also saw that I believe he has Maze Abomination in his hand too, but he's going to wait on that. He attacks with both. High Priest of Penance is going to lock down the board as it can trade for the Viashino First Blade or even the Spirit Token if he really wants.
The nice thing is he doesn't really need to worry about hasty aggression because he has this Blind Obedience in play.
Yeah, that is just off the table for him. He does not need to worry about that.
Just so good against these first blades. I mean, Blind Obedience, you know, usually a pretty solid card, but in this particular draft, that card's value has increased dramatically.
At least give me the satisfaction of beating the pack.
I just heard Ari Lax say, at least give me the satisfaction of beating this pack rat, as we see Andy Longo take his match versus Alex John. So this Eric Phillipps versus Matt McCullough match could be it, and Eric Phillipps looks like he's in pretty good position here.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be pretty tough for Matt to win this one.
It really is, and that could be it. If Eric wins this match, that's it. They are the champions of Grand Prix Providence. Team limited here.
I'd be really excited if they won. I think there are a lot of people in New York who have, these guys, you know, they don't really go to events that often. They're, you know, super just, they are awesome dudes, and it's really good to see them doing this well. So I don't want to get ahead of myself and say they won just yet.
Speaking along the lines of what you're saying, I just heard Matt say, I don't think I can win the race against the Blind Obedience.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, he's going to have a lot of trouble when the Blood Baron of Escapa is on the top of Eric Phillipps' deck, too. It's just about every draw for Eric Phillipps is good here. 'Cause even if he draws a land, that means he can extort off a Maze Abomination. I mean, it's just a disaster for Matt here.
Matt says he has one card in his deck that I just can't beat. I think he hasn't seen the Blood Baron. It's actually probably 2.
So close.
Yeah.
I had hopes and dreams and aspirations.
All right, so Eric Phillipps, a lot of pressure here. He's in a great position. He just needs to make sure that he doesn't make a mistake here. He wants to be very clear. He's going over everything with his opponents. You know, we saw in the last game that he attacked with that Blood Baron and had it traded off for a couple of kind of useless 2/2s or 2/1s from Ari Lax. Okay, well, here's a Martial Glory that's pretty nice. It would be a virtual 2-for-1. I mean, he's going to get to save his creature and take down 2 of his others. That's pretty nice.
Yeah,
And
it's
here
really
comes
good.
the big Maze Abomination with Extort. It's just how do you get by these huge spells? Also, remember, Matt, he's drawn a lot of lands this game.
Yeah, shelf.
Yeah, now, I mean, the High Priest of Penance has Death Touch in addition to its other ability at this point.
I don't actually know what's going on. I just want to win this game.
Arilax just told Matt not to scoop yet because Ari really wants to win this game.
I mean, like, I'm not actually bad. I can do that.
Death Touch High Priest of Penance.
Yeah, that's really
That's
good.
just
I mean, on
bad,
this board,
isn't
he
it?
doesn't even need it, but
Yeah, it just means it trades for whatever it blocks and kills whatever else is left.
and I mean, Eric Phillipps set a stab wound in his opening hand that he hasn't even had to play this game.
Is that right?
Yeah.
Must be.
Yes.
All right, well, here it is. Stab Wound, your last guy. Viashino first played goes down. There's an Extort paid as well. That's going to drop
Yeah,
him to
and
6.
now, I mean,
And
now
then
he
he's
can
one
attack.
spell away from winning here. You can attack him down to 5. They're going to be careful here, though. Yeah,
I mean,
he can
attacks him
attack
down to
because he's
1.
got the...
Yeah, he's a blind obedience.
He's
There's
blind
absolutely
obedience.
no fear.
No,
Like, there's,
I
like,
mean, the
what's his
worst thing
opponent
that can
do?
happen is if he could steal his Maze Abomination and hit him, and he's at 11. That's just not going to finish him off.
Yeah, like a
It would
traitorous instinct.
It would take Traitorous Instinct plus Armed and Dangerous or something.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And that's it. He extends the hand, and we have our winners. Andy Longo, Eric Phillipps, and Eric Berger are our champions.
That's really exciting.
Yeah.
I've been trying to remain unbiased. I hope I've done a good job, but these are 3 guys who I've had the opportunity to draft with a good deal in New York.